My dear students, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to your online class. From this lecture, we are going to start a new system, that is the urinary system. We know that the major function of the urinary system is formation of urine, and the kidney performs this function by filtering plasma and removing the unwanted substances from our body. So let's first look at the physiological anatomy of the kidney. As you already know, there are two kidneys located in the posterior wall of the abdomen, and the kidneys, the ureters arise from the hilum of the kidney, and the ureters carry urine into the urinary bladder, which is located in the pelvic cavity. And when the urinary bladder is full, there is micturition reflex, and then micturition process occurs and urine is excreted through the urethra. And if we look at the bisected kidney, we will find that there are two regions of the kidney. One is the outer renal cortex and the inner renal medulla. The renal medulla is again divided into 8 to 10 cone-shaped masses of cells that are called renal pyramids. The apex of the renal pyramids are known as renal papilla. And into the apex of the renal pyramids, the collecting tubules of the nephron open, and from there the urine passes into the minor calyx, and from the minor calyx it goes into the major calyx. Major calyces are formed by 2 or 3 minor calyces. When they join together, when they coalesce together, they form the major calyx. So major calyces are actually open-ended pouches. From the major calyces, the urine passes into the renal pelvis. Now, what is the renal pelvis? It is actually the dilated upper portion of the ureter, and it is funnel shaped. From the renal pelvis, the urine passes on to the bladder and ultimately it is excreted through the urethra. And all these structures, the minor calyces, the major calyces, the renal pelvis and the ureter, they contain contractile elements. So they propel the urine like a peristaltic process, and urine is propelled through these structures towards the bladder. So if there is any stone impacted in any of these sites, it will cause severe colicky pain. So this is the bisected diagram of our kidney where we can see the structure. Next, if we have a look at the structure of the nephron. As you already know, nephron is the structural and functional unit of the kidney. And nephron contains two parts. One is the renal corpuscle, which comprises the glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule, and the renal tubules. Now look at this diagram where we can see the renal tubules, and renal tubules comprises of proximal convoluted tubule, then the loop of Henle. Loop of Henle, first comes the descending limb of the loop of Henle, then the ascending limb of the loop of Henle. Then we have the distal convoluted tubule, collecting tubule and collecting duct. From this diagram, you can see that the glomerulus, the Bowman's capsule and the convoluted tubules, they are located in the renal cortex, and the loop of Henle and the collecting duct, these structures are located in the renal medulla. So you should have a clear conception about the location of the different parts of the nephron. Next, if you look at the renal blood flow, this is also very important. There are renal blood flow per minute is 1100 ml. So it is about 22% of the cardiac output. So 22% of the cardiac output goes to the kidney, and this blood, this plasma is filtered as through the glomerulus, and ultimately it becomes the urine. So if we look at this blood supply, you will see that the there is two sets of capillaries in the nephron. One is the glomerular capillary and another is the peritubular capillary. So this is one of the peculiarities of the renal system. And glomerulus is the tuft of capillaries. So when the renal artery divides into further branches like the interlobar artery, the arcuate artery, the interlobular artery, and afferent arteriole. Then the afferent arteriole goes and forms the glomerulus, which is a tuft of capillaries, and then becomes the efferent arteriole. And the efferent arteriole further goes on to form the peritubular capillaries. And the other end of the peritubular capillary forms the venous system. So ultimately the renal vein is formed. So you can see that the glomerulus, which is a tuft of capillaries, and in this glomerulus there is a glomerular membrane through which the plasma is filtered. And the filtered plasma, this ultrafiltration of plasma, is known as the glomerular filtrate. And ultimately there is some tubular reabsorption from this glomerular filtrate, and also some substances are added by tubular secretion into the glomerular filtrate, and ultimately urine is formed. So if we look at the three basic steps of urine formation, these are glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and tubular secretion. So when the plasma is filtered through the glomerular membrane, that is the glomerular filtration. And then there is tubular reabsorption, and then there is tubular secretion. So urinary excretion equals to filtration minus reabsorption plus secretion. This equation is very important for you to remember. Today we are going to look at the glomerular capillary membrane, because it is very important to understand the structure of this membrane. And it is a selective filtration barrier that filters water and solutes at high rate but prevents the filtration of plasma protein. The glomerulus, which is the glomerular capillary bed, has a high hydrostatic pressure. It is about 60 mm mercury. And the peritubular capillary bed has a low hydrostatic pressure, which is about only 13 mm of mercury. So this high hydrostatic pressure in the glomerular capillary helps in filtration, and the low hydrostatic pressure in the peritubular capillary is helpful for reabsorption. So as we were looking at the glomerular capillary membrane, it has three layers. First is the endothelium of the capillary. Then there is the basement membrane and a layer of epithelial cells that is called the porocytes. And these epithelial cells, they surround the outer surface of the capillary basement membrane. Now, if you look at this diagram, you can see the three layers of the glomerular capillary. This capillary membrane is thicker than most of the capillaries and is much more porous. So even though it is thicker, it is much more porous, and this favors the filtration at the high rate. Now, some special characteristics of this capillary bed are: it has a high hydrostatic pressure, as I have already told you, and this helps in fluid filtration. Filterability of the solutes is inversely related to the size of the solutes, and negatively charged molecules are not filtered. So these are the criteria that we must remember. Now let us look at the capillary endothelium, the first layer. It is perforated by thousands of small holes that are called fenestra. And the endothelial cells have a fixed negative charge which repels the plasma protein and prevents their passage. It is very important that the plasma proteins are not filtered through the glomerular membrane. The main difference between plasma and the glomerular filtrate is that in the plasma proteins are present, and in the glomerular filtrate, there is no plasma protein. So next, let us look at the criteria of the basement membrane. This consists of a meshwork of collagen and proteoglycans. It has large spaces through which water and small solutes can filter. These proteoglycans have strong negative charge which also prevents the filtration of plasma proteins. So here again we can see that the filtration of plasma proteins are opposed. Then the layer of epithelial cells. They line the outer surface of the glomerulus. They are not continuous, but they have long foot processes that are called podocytes. And these podocytes encircle the outer surface of the capillaries. The podocytes are separated by gaps called slit pores. So we had fenestra and now we have slit pores. Epithelial cells also have negative charge, which prevents the filtration of plasma proteins. So the three layers of the glomerular capillary membrane, all of them have negative charge, and this prevents the filtration of plasma proteins. So this repels the plasma proteins, and normally in normal physiological condition, plasma proteins are not filtered. So next, the glomerular filtrate, the substance that is ultimately filtered through this membrane, is known as glomerular filtrate. It is an ultrafiltrate of plasma which is protein free and devoid of cellular elements, and it is filtered through the glomerular capillary into the Bowman's capsule. So from the glomerulus, which is a tuft of capillary, the plasma is filtered through the glomerular membrane and then it enters into the Bowman's capsule. Another term that we have to know about is filtration coefficient, which is expressed by Kf. So it is the product of the hydraulic conductivity. Hydraulic conductivity means permeability. So it is the product of the hydraulic conductivity of the capillaries and the surface area of the capillaries. So as I have said, hydraulic conductivity means permeability. So filtration coefficient is the product of the permeability of the capillaries and the surface area of the capillaries. And it is expressed as GFR, that is glomerular filtration rate, divided by the net filtration pressure, and it is about 12.5 ml per minute per millimeter of mercury. So this is another term that you have to understand for further details. Then this filtration coefficient, it depends on permeability, solubility and the molecular weight of the substance, and also it depends on the surface area of the glomerular membrane. In case of diabetes mellitus and chronic uncontrolled hypertension, there is increased thickness of the glomerular membrane. So the filtration coefficient, that is Kf, decreases and GFR also decreases. So we can see that in diabetes mellitus and chronic uncontrolled hypertension, the glomerular membrane thickness is increased, and when the thickness is increased, there is less filtration. Next, the term that we want to know is filtration fraction. It is the fraction of the renal plasma flow that is filtered. I am saying it again, that it is a fraction of the renal plasma flow that is filtered. So filtration fraction is equal to GFR divided by the renal plasma flow, and it is about 0.16 to 0.20. This means that 20% of the plasma flowing through the kidney is filtered by the glomerular capillaries. So filtration fraction, I hope I could give a clear idea. So this is all for today. In the next class, I am going to discuss about glomerular filtration rate and the factors affecting the glomerular filtration rate. To understand that, you must have a clear idea about the topics that I have discussed in this lecture. So I hope you understand the lecture. Thank you and Allah Hafiz.